Aotearoa, and welcome to Wednesday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect Aotearoa. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz. And today we lead with news. Iran says the Strait of Hormuz will remain closed until the US accepts its conditions. So stalemate there. However, financial markets are kind of shrugging off these risks. Pakistan claims both sides are still talking, however. First up today, though, the overnight dairy pulse auction brought a stabilisation in prices, with the powders rising about 2%, and the milk fats little change from last week's full dairy auction. In the US, the ADP weekly jobs monitoring of private payrolls continues to slide and is under 10,000 and its lowest level since Christmas holiday season. US existing home sales fell 1.7% in July from June to be now just 1.7% higher than year-ago levels. And US household debt data shows it having topped out, with the June quarter lower than the March quarter, which itself was lower than the December 2025 year-end level. This is essentially because standard mortgage debt levels fell. But home equity loans rose, as did credit card debt and car loans. Delinquency rates for credit card debt and car loans remained elevated, but didn't get worse in this third quarter 2026 data. Sentiment in the US SME sector rose in July, but only back to levels that it had prior to the start of Trump's war on Iran. It is now little different to levels they had at the start of 2025 until March 2026. And eyes are now turning to tomorrow's US inflation data for July. This is expected to stay high at 3.4% and only marginally lower than June's 3.5%. And as such, it'll put pressure on the Warsh-led Fed to move to get inflation back to its policy band around 2%. There seems little likelihood of any progress without some policy action. Across the Pacific, Singapore's economy grew 5.9% in the second quarter of 2026, was slowing from the 6.3% expansion in the first quarter, which was their strongest annual growth since the third quarter of 2024. But this latest update exceeded advanced estimates of 5.7%. In Malaysia, industrial production slowed again in June and is now only 6.5% higher than year-ago levels. It was 8.3% higher on that basis in the month before. But their factory production was up almost 10% on a year-ago basis, and that is an accelerating rate. It has been their mining sector that is one that is falling away there. In Australia, the rebound in business confidence, as tracked by the influential NAB survey, stalled in July as Middle East uncertainty and the oil price volatility continued to weigh on sentiment. Meanwhile, business conditions showed signs of stabilising after weakening earlier in the year. And the RBA left its cash rate target at 4.35% as widely expected, but it has raised expectations that hikes could come soon if inflation does not retreat in the way they want, but only if market conditions don't move first, as they need. The one thing they do expect is lower house prices, however, and that'll help the affordability crisis there. And we should also probably note that aluminium prices are on the rise again. Although not back to their record high levels in early June, they have shifted up sharply in the past week, perhaps due to their central role in the US-Canada trade discussions. It is a key card Canada holds over the US. Trump's punitive 50% tariffs on Canada are due to kick in on August the 20th. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now just on 4.69% and dipping 1 basis point from yesterday. The price of gold is holding at $4,366 an ounce, up a mere $2 from yesterday. Silver's dipped 50 cents at just on $64.50 an ounce. And oil prices are up $1.50 from yesterday at just on $83.50 a barrel in the US, while the international Brent price is now just under $89 a barrel. Hormuz transits are still very low. There have been just 2 crude tankers, only 1 cargo ship exiting over the past 24 hours, and 7 entering for new loads. Again, all Iran-linked. The Red Sea activity is where the focus is shifting and is still low, with less than 20 either way at the Yemeni choke point. And the Kiwi dollar is essentially unchanged from yesterday at just on 58.8 US cents. Against the Aussie, we're down 10 basis points at 83.3 Australian cents. Against the euro, we've held at 51 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today at just under 62.5, which is unchanged from yesterday. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $63,563 and down 0.5% from yesterday. Volatility for the past 24 hours has also been low, at just on plus or minus 0.8%. You get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston. We'll do this again tomorrow.